I am the type of person, I have a clear, deep love for people. But I was cutting myself off from the very people who God had put in my life throughout my life because I didn't think I had anything to offer. Hello, my name is Tameka Sparrow, and I would love to share with you today my Keys to Freedom testimony. Keys to Freedom has become a part of this 5-year journey that I've been on to discover Christ in a more intimate way. Through Keys to Freedom, I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about myself. And the reason why I say it's been a 5-year journey, because 5 years ago, I was in a place in my life where I was inviting God in and out of my life. When things were going well, I was okay, but when things started to go another direction, that's when I would want to invite him back into my life. But there came a time where I wanted to completely surrender my life to Christ. I wanted to completely live my life for him. I didn't want to stay on the roller coaster that I'd been on. And I began to pray, and I started to put myself in positions and allowing myself to do things that I would never actually do. And when you pray and you ask God to show you, and you ask who he is, and you ask him that, you ask him, Lord, help me to be able to see things and to see people the way that you do, he will honestly do that. And like I said, about 5 years ago, I began wanting to walk right and do things a different way so that I can experience some sort of peace, because that's what I've been searching for all that time. And I just couldn't find it on my own. And I had to realize that there's nothing in this life that I could do or you can do on your own without Christ being an active part of your life. And he started placing people in my life that I never even thought that I had anything in common with them. I started doing things that I never imagined. It can be simple to some, but it was special to me. Volunteering, working with children, and I began to desire a deeper, more profound relationship with him. So I began to pray more. I began to read. I started going to small groups and meeting people and talking to people and starting to broaden my, I guess you can say, my circle. But it was with people that were in a position that I wanted to be in, that were Christ-loving, living their life for Christ. And I wanted that. I wanted that so much. And I just knew that I had to surrender my life, and that's what I decided to do. And then one day I got a call from Denise Nash, whom I love dearly, and she has no idea how much that call meant to me. I remember her giving me a brief summary of what the Keys to Freedom, she invited me to Keys to Freedom, give me a brief summary of what that would look like, and that God had actually showed her me, and my name kept coming up more than one time, and she just decided to reach out and ask me if I would be willing to participate in Keys to Freedom and to be able to commit to the 8 weeks that it would take, and and that it was for seeking freedom and addressing things in your life. And I was just overwhelmed. And when I got off the phone, she sent me a couple of a video, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was just overwhelmed, because when God starts to show up in your life in ways that you were too busy to notice before, and you begin to see him working, and this was someone else, something else that was beginning to put me on a path of just total surrender. And I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to put my mask on and I'm going to go. And this is what you're calling me to do. And I believe that, and I know that in my heart. And after that, a few days went by, and because I had weeks before it was going to actually start up. And then I started beginning to have doubt about what I was going to do, what I was going to say, if people were going to understand me, or if I even had anything worthy of speaking of, just insecurities and fears I've struggled with my entire life. Feeling like whatever I had to do or whatever I had to say, it wasn't going to be good enough, or it's just not good enough, and just kind of be quiet. And that's why I went into this little bubble that I created that only really allowed the people closest to me in that circle. Even people that weren't necessarily always good for me, I allowed in that circle. But anything outside of that, I was always afraid, to speak up, to allow my voice to be heard. When you live your life, just living out your life, things that you experience, things that you do, you tend to pack them away in these boxes in your head. And I packed away so much stuff, and I was afraid to let them go, because even for me to hear them and say them out loud myself, I just didn't have the nerve to do it. But I knew that if I wanted to get anything out of the study, that I had to not be afraid anymore. I had to not be embarrassed and ashamed of my life and my past life. And I stood in front of the mirror and I said out loud all the things that I thought about myself, all the things I've been told about myself, all the things that I was insecure about, ranging all the way from the way you look, the way you sound, where you come from, and just feeling just unworthy of anything. Believe it or not, through that process, I started to not feel bound anymore. Just decided that it was just time to let it all go, because it didn't matter. Because if I prayed about it, and if God can forgive me, I can forgive myself, and everything would be fine. And the days came where I went to my first Keys to Freedom, and how we were talking about generational patterns, renewing of the mind, forgiveness. And I had to start to forgive people in my life that hurt me. The patterns of lying, I couldn't continue that anymore. Not even the ones that you call out, they're just little small lies. They really don't matter. Everything matters when you want to be closer to Christ. And I began to open up in there, and I learned so much about myself. I learned that I am not the things that I'd been told. I do not and should not possess the spirit of fear. That has to be gone, because that has kept me from doing so much in my life. I just began to feel like during the Keys, I was asked, what was I seeking most? I was seeking peace, because although I was living my life and I looked happy, I was walking happy and, put a veil on, I didn't truly have peace, because I didn't have freedom. And the freedom that I was looking for was there all along. I just had to reach out and take ownership of my life, pursue a richer life in Jesus. And that's exactly what I did. And another thing that I learned and I got out of Keys was, if I'd known everything that we went over, I don't want to give it away, back then, as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, as a woman, if I had known half of those things, I wouldn't have made so many wrong turns. I would have known how to deal with people and situations better. And I kept saying to myself the entire time, and I even shared it, this has to be shared with our young adults to help them, because everyone has so many struggles, when they're young, and they begin to shape you, and you begin to think, that you are these things that you can't conquer. And I always wanted to know, everyone seemed to have a gift that was given to them from Christ. I didn't know my God-given gift. I prayed to know that. I wanted to know, what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to be doing? Is there anything more you require of me before you let me know? And I just began to pray and pray, and it was just clear. I am the type of person, I have a clear, deep love for people. But I was cutting myself off from the very people who God had put in my life, throughout my life, because I didn't think I had anything to offer. I have a strong want. I love to help. I love helping people. I love young people. I love everybody, and people bring me joy. People literally bring me joy. And I just wanted to be able and free to walk into the blessings that the Lord has for me. I wanted to be able to share my life, my walk, share my Jesus journey of discovery with people. I no longer want to live in the shadows of hiding and being afraid. I want to be able to walk with my head up high, know the God that I serve, and the God I serve says that I am good enough the way that I am, and I cannot wait to see what He does in my life and in the lives of others. I really just can't wait to see.